Excellent. Okay, all right. Hi there. My name is Jess. I'm an illustrator based here in Australia. If you haven't seen my work, this is the kind of thing that I make, and my favorite time of year is coming. It's here. It's almost here. Depending on how enthused you are about Halloween, you would count September as part of Halloween, but it's September. Spooky season approaches, and with that comes a lot of drawing challenges. Drawing challenges happen all year round, but I can't help but feel that October is like the month for drawing challenges. There are a lot. And so I wanted to talk about how to survive a drawing challenge. And with that, the biggest thing is avoiding burnout. Now, you might say, Jess, what are your qualifications to speak on this? Not really any, except for the fact that this will be my 11th year in a row completing an October drawing challenge. So let's just get right into it. Step one of any drawing challenge is to choose which challenge you're doing. There are plenty out there, so you can find one that exactly suits your needs. When choosing your challenge, there's a few important things to note, and this is going to be step one in avoiding burnout and being able to actually complete your chosen challenge. Step one is choosing a challenge that meets your needs, and that means finding a challenge that inspires you and is going to keep you going because you're just having a good time, but also that you have time for. It suits the materials you have or something that you might want to try. Choosing a challenge that suits you is going to really help you out in the long run. Do you want to do something Halloween-y? And in that case, maybe you want to do something like Drawtober? Do you want to do just something really cute? And maybe it's something a little bit different. In that case, you want to do Peachtober. Really, there are so many out there. If you just look up like Art Challenge 2025 on Instagram, I'm sure you will find so many wonderful ones to participate in. Something really important to acknowledge before you choose a challenge as well is what time you are realistically going to have for this challenge. Not all challenges are 31 illustrations, but a lot of them are, and either way, it's a lot of work. Speaking on 31 in particular, one for every day of the month, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff that you gotta make. And presumably pretty much every day that you're going to be making something new for this challenge. How much time do you actually have? I'm lucky enough that I do this as my full-time job, and so I know kind of realistically that I can spend at least 2 to 3 hours on an entry in a day. But that's not everyone's situation. You might realistically only have 30 minutes in a day that you need to get something done. If you don't have a lot of time in your day, it doesn't mean a drawing challenge is impossible. But maybe instead of doing a full illustration every day, you do a sketch. And that's still incredibly valuable. Or you can choose a challenge like Drawtober, which doesn't have a prompt for every day of the month. It has a prompt for every week of the month, roughly. I personally choose Drawtober. This is mostly because I'm not a massive prompt person, but I still really love the community of a challenge. And so being able to work their 6 prompts into my 31 days of illustrations that I'll be doing just really suits me. I also like that it's sort of Halloween themed. They've got a fun Discord you can join. Let me sell you on Drawtober. They repost entries every day on their Instagram page. They actually give away pins to daily winners. Wait, I have one. Hold on. I'm actually so lucky to have been one of their daily winners, I think in a couple years that I did it. But then, like I said, for the other 25 days of the month, I get to do whatever I please. And that just really works for me. Which brings me to step 2, which is planning. Planning, along with choosing a challenge that you know that you have the time for, are really going to help you avoid burnout in the long run. My personal planning process is to do a ton of thumbnails. I just brainstorm and barf out ideas. I just brainstorm and get out a bunch of ideas onto paper, and then each day when I'm actually doing the illustration, I go and I look at all my thumbnails and I pick out one that is exciting me. And this isn't to say that you can't come up with anything new during the month, obviously, but having the planning done beforehand can mean on those days where you are really tired and you are not really maybe feeling it, you don't have to work your brain to come up with something new. You can just pick out an idea that you like and get to it. In coming up with ideas as well, what I generally do is I think about a range of ideas that will take me like varying amounts of effort. This means on the days that I have a lot of energy and a lot of time, I could choose one of the ideas that's more complicated and more involved and explore that one. But on the days where I've maybe had a bit of a long day, maybe I'm not feeling well, maybe I've been busy, well, I have a simpler idea that I can put forward. Doesn't take me as much time or as much effort, but it's still a really good entry. So plan accordingly for your time, but also plan maybe accordingly for slightly different amounts of time, just in case you have more than you expect or less than you expect. And this includes your materials as well. I usually use gouache and watercolor, and I usually do them on A5 sized paper because I know that that's a size that's realistic for me to be able to do one just about every day. All right, step 3. It's October, we can start. Just kidding. This is maybe controversial. I recommend you start early. I know, okay, I used to be in the camp that I thought this was cheating, but then it makes so much sense, all right? Why would you not? Like, under the assumption that you're doing a 31-day challenge, like a full month of illustrations, that's already incredibly ambitious, and that's going to take you a lot of time. And doing anything every day is hard. What if you get sick? What if you're busy? What if you're burnt out? What if something happens that suddenly takes up your day? What if your idea doesn't come out how you want and you have to redo it? If you start early, then it just means, even if it's just a couple days, it just means that you have a reserve. And this I cannot emphasize how important this is. There will most likely be days that you will feel burnt out. For me, this usually happens around the halfway mark. I start kind of feeling it a little bit. Not that I'm not enjoying myself, but like, again, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot. Having a bit of a reserve, like I said, even if it's only a couple days, it just means that you have a backup. I personally find that if you fall behind, that's when things get tricky. Now, if you do fall behind, there's no need to panic. That's okay. We can pull this together. This is where our planning came in. You can choose from those ideas that you know won't take as much time, and so you can pop out a couple in a day and catch up instead of trying to do 2 really big things, and now you're just falling more behind because you're just trying to do too much, and it's just too much. And it's important to not panic if you do fall behind. But I do find it's much easier to avoid falling behind when you have that reserve. Because again, if you have a sick day, if you're burnt out, you just need a day off. Then you can use up one of those. Then you've already done today, technically. You just did it a while ago. You know what I mean? But in general, one of the biggest things with getting started that I recommend is work it into your routine. You're going to be doing this basically for a month. I often end up doing it kind of like in the morning. So I sit down with my tea and enjoy painting for the morning, get an entry done, and then there I get to go on the rest of my day. That's what works for me personally. But working it into your routine so that you know that pretty much every day you will have some time. But most importantly, part of step 3, which is actually doing your challenge, is to have fun. There's not really any point in doing it if you're not having any fun. Please don't feel pressured to do a challenge just because you feel like a lot of other people are doing it, or for any other reason other than you feel you really want to. It's a wonderful way to improve your art, to practice, to try new things, but like, take care of yourself. So in conclusion, pick out a drawing challenge that suits you and your needs. Plan ahead, again, to suit you and your needs. And I personally think plan out a couple different options depending on what kind of mood you're in and for how much time you'll have. Start early if you can. Work it into your routine and have fun. Like, it's so cheesy, but it's so true. If I can do a drawing challenge in October when I'm also planning a wedding, getting married, and going on honeymoon, which is what I did last year, then I believe in you. You can do it too. It was chaos. Admittedly, actually, last year I had to complete a lot of mine before October even started because I just knew there was gonna be no way. But are you doing a drawing challenge this year? If so, I hope this video was helpful. Otherwise, if it wasn't helpful, still thank you for watching until the end. If you'd like to follow me on my 11th year doing a drawing If you'd like to follow me on my 11th year doing a drawing challenge, find me on Instagram, and I'll be posting there every day in October. Thank you to my patrons. Your support allows me the time to make videos like this. I'll most likely be posting some sneak peeks and stuff of my October works over there. And yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I hope this all makes sense, and I really hope it helps out. And I hope that if you're doing a drawing challenge this year, that you have a wonderful time. All right. Bye.